Welcome to the Work With Flair podcast, where we talk about work, but not just the work we do, but how we show up and why it matters. Work is a big part of our lives, like we always say. Much of the conversations we have with our loved ones, with our friends, with our colleagues, centers around the work we do. We are either talking about the frustrations or we are talking about the exciting things that are happening. And oftentimes we lose sight of who we are when it comes to work. And this is why this podcast is put together just to help you appreciate who you are and how you function in the workplace. Today, I'm joined by a very special person who I'll be introducing briefly. Delight currently works as an employability coach with Generation Ghana. Previously, she worked as a placement coordinator with Generation Ghana, where she coached, supported, and led placement for over 200 graduates in diverse things like digital marketing, data analysis, digital customer service programs, and a whole range of things. And she did that in a local and international settings. She has over 7 years of expertise in talent acquisition in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, UK, and Romania. Her career spans diverse sectors as well, including extractives, that's mining, oil and gas. She's also done a lot in the insurance space, agribusiness, manufacturing, healthcare, hospitality, professional services, and non-profits. So I'm sure by now you have an idea of the profile of the person we are going to be speaking to and the fact that she's going to be very crucial to the conversation we are about to have today. Delight also has a proven track record in headhunting, executive and graduate entry-level recruitment, and she excels at championing positive experiences for candidates and standardizing HR systems. In the past, she has contributed her talents to the likes of KPMG Ghana, CarvinClay, People Development, and OML Africa. Outside of work, she enjoys reading, singing, and staying active as a fitness enthusiast. Delight, you're welcome to Work With Flair podcast.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. We are very happy to have you.
Yeah, I remember how the conversation started, and we're here today.
Yes. To be precise, it's been almost 2 months.
Yeah.
We spoke about it. We left it hanging, and then we picked up on the conversation. And here we are today. And we brought you onto this podcast because of the unique place you find yourself. You shared your story of how you were on the other side as an HR recruiter, and then now you are helping people to be ready for things like interviews, to find themselves in the workplace, and to make the most of their careers. And so we are really happy that we have someone who has experience from both sides. And we believe that it will enrich this conversation. So I want to start with my very first question to you, which touches right on your experience and what you've seen just working with people. So what's the difference between someone who is qualified for a role and someone who actually thrives in a role?
So I would say that somebody who is qualified, when we put out job adverts, and people apply, what we are looking for when we say somebody is qualified is usually somebody who meets 60% to 80% of the job specification.
The job description, okay.
So the job specification, things like the educational qualification, number of years of experience, some abilities that we're looking for, some skills that we're looking for. So if you meet 60% to 80% of this,
you are shortlisted.
Yes, then you're good.
Okay.
So you can apply, and then the rest of that percentage is good because it allows for learning. Maybe you're new to the industry. So that gap is for you to come into this role now and grow into it. So that's good. So that's somebody that's qualified. Now, somebody who actually comes into the role and thrives, I would say is somebody who is qualified, good and well, but they've gone the extra mile. they've done the work to understand that the role that they are coming into to thrive in it is not a static concept. It means that you have to understand the role as something that can change. You're in the same role, but as you go along, things can change in the role. And so for you to thrive, you need to understand that new systems may be introduced. Organization may change in terms of design. Even the leadership you're working under.
Can change.
Exactly. So you need to adapt. You need to have that skill of adaptability that, yes, I'm coming into the same role, but things will change. So once you have the skill, you'll be able to thrive in the role.
Exactly.
Another thing that somebody who will thrive in a role will do is they will, I would say, set boundaries. Because when you come into any role, you know, we are wired to try to prove ourselves. And so some people take on more work. They don't know how to say no. At the end of the day, you become overwhelmed.
We were just talking about this before.
Exactly.
We started the
so you need to set boundaries so that you can deliver your best results consistently.
Okay.
Manage your energy. So you set those boundaries. And then I would say a very important aspect for you to thrive in any role is to contribute to building psychological safety. What do I mean by that? You need to contribute to making the workplace a safe space for everyone so they can speak up.
So the individual is also responsible for contributing to that.
Exactly. So when you do that, you invite others to do the same. So all of you can then thrive together.
Yeah.
So that's what I would.
If the environment is toxic, you can't thrive.
You can't thrive.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is what I would say about somebody who
I think
actually thrives.
What stood out to me, it's not static.
Exactly.
It's something you have to be adapting to and growing into. But there's a question I wasn't meaning to ask, but just what you shared has brought it up. And for me, it has to do with roles and responsibilities. I have observed, and I think most people can relate to it, that you may go into a place, you are given a role, the role spells out your duties and the expectations and the KPIs, but then there are responsibilities that are not spelled out, but they are expected.
Yeah.
You know, and so just talking about thriving in a role, how do people harmonize their role and then the responsibilities that may come with it that are not spelled out but expected? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say that, again, it comes to setting boundaries, right? Or even before you set boundaries, you need to understand why some of these things may have now been added in terms of new responsibilities. That's why you need to understand that it's not static. It's not a static concept.
Exactly.
You need to adapt because things can change. Maybe the things that are changing right now may be overwhelming just in the moment. And the organization is putting maybe systems in place to lighten the burden. So I wouldn't say that once things start changing or you start getting new responsibilities in the same role, you push back. No. Allow the time because you could learn from it. It could expose you to new things that you may not necessarily have
thought
exactly. But with time, after a little time, if it becomes overwhelming, then you now have to create those boundaries so that you can thrive in your role.
Okay,
yeah.
I think I love the perspective. So my next question in light of that is working with professionals in different industries. What are the most common blind spots you see people carry about themselves in work?
Okay.
Blind spots.
Yeah.
I remember when I was learning how to drive and they always remind you of your blind spots.
Yeah,
but it's part of us.
Exactly. So what I see mostly is that people think that your blind spots are your weaknesses. But that is not quite the case.
That's not the case.
No.
Okay.
Because for serious professionals, they try to know what their weaknesses are and then start doing the work on these weaknesses, right? So once you know your weaknesses, they are no longer blind spots.
Yeah, it's no longer a blind spot. That's a very good...
So blind spots, I would say, are things about you as a professional in terms of the way you show up, the way you relate with your colleagues, the way you do your work, that people think about you in a certain way that you don't know about. Those, I would say, are blind spots. So the common ones I've seen so far are people not knowing what their blind spots are.
They don't even
know that they have this blind spot. And it's very simple to know, because you could ask your colleagues, you could ask your manager, get feedback so that you know this blind spot. So that's one that I've seen. Then another one I would say is closet perfectionism.
You'd have to unpack that for me.
Yeah. So for high achieving professionals, right? It gets to a point, or when it comes to certain things, we want to be perfect before we start out.
Okay.
We want, we are afraid that we'll be found out that maybe we are frauds or something, or we don't know it all. So we hold ourselves back from doing the things that we should do that could probably help other professionals out there. So for example, you want to start sharing some insights on YouTube about your industry, about your profession, but you want to start out great. You want to start out
level.
exactly.
Okay.
So why I say this is a blind spot is because we're all imperfect.
Yeah.
And you just need to start and then get the feedback and grow.
Okay.
So this is what I would add to not knowing about your blind spots. Yeah.
I think when we first started podcasting, one of the series we did and started inviting people on was the 4 dimensions of self.
Yeah.
We talked about the open self, the blind self, which is what you just described. And then we talked about the hidden self and then the unknown self. And with the blind spot, what we likened it to was the bark of a tree. So we used the tree to as an analogy for the dimensions. So everybody can see the branches of a tree and the leaves of a tree. So that's the open self. It's open information. But then when you come to the bark of a tree, the bark of a tree from a distance just looks brown. But when you walk close to the tree, you see a lot of intricacies. And it's something that invites people to point things out to you rather than trying to be perfect, like you said. So that's a very good observation you made. So there's a question that's on my heart that I've been meaning to ask you. We spend a lot of time putting the perfect CV together, but we spend very little time really understanding who we are. Why is that the case, and how can we remedy it in your experience?
Okay. So I think largely the case is because once you get to university, you're nearing completion, coming into the world of work, all you hear about is you need to put together a good CV so that you can get a job. Okay. That's where the focus is. Exactly. That's the message you get always. And even with the universities that have career guidance,
career fairs and or like a career
guidance
like
office or something. Yes, exactly. Like that, so. When you go there, mostly what they help you with is to get your CV together, maybe coach you a bit on how to interview and all of that. There's very little about understanding how you work as a person.
That's a big disservice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't blame.
Or we don't know any better.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know any better. But the thing though is that these things are coming to light, and then you see the schools, especially the schools that take their career guidance offices very seriously. When they hear these things from industry, they inculcate into what they are putting out there. So I think this, as I mentioned, is largely because the messaging is about get your CV right so you can get a job. There's very little focus on
the individual.
Exactly. You need to do the work to understand yourself as a professional going into work. How do you work individually? How do you work within a team and all of that? Group work in school and all of that, it just teaches you, to
Be
put
a
some,
team player.
exactly, be a team player. But how do you work? Understanding, to know, okay, even these are the times of day that I do my best work, as we talked about during the mastery
The
program.
mastery program.
There's very little information about that. So this is it. So I would say that what to do about this is you have to do a personal audit of yourself, right? And in doing a personal audit as a professional, I would say that maybe take 1 week, and every day, at the end of each day, take an account of what times of the day you did your best work.
Okay.
At what time of the day you started, getting
You're fading
exactly.
out.
You were getting tired and all of that. Then you can now know that, okay, maybe for me, I do my best work in the afternoon.
At this time of the day.
Exactly. In the morning. Then you can now do your work, the work that is very critical to your role during those times.
Yeah.
Or even the things that you don't like to do. Maybe you can bring some of them into your peak hours, because those are the things that drain you.
Yeah.
Then another thing you should do is take an assessment. And talking about assessments, professionals do not know that you can actually take assessments to understand yourself as a professional outside of your personal life.
Yeah.
Assessments
so as
are
a professional in the workplace.
Exactly. And so there are psychometric tests, personality tests that tell you all of these things about you, your personality, and how that shows up in the workplace. So there are free ones online. I don't want to mention the popular ones. So you can take some of those to understand yourself as a professional. Then finally, I would say that as a professional, you need to know what aspects of your work and work situations that energize you and the ones that drain you. So you need to understand so that you can actually know, okay, when I have something like this to do, yes, this is what energizes me. So yes, I'm very happy to do this. But on the other hand, this drains me. So I understand myself. So this is what we can do.
I think that this is very practical. So it starts with understanding what time of day I'm switched on.
Yeah.
And then understanding the work I do itself. Where am I most alive? Where am I drained?
Exactly.
And that information alone gives you a lot to know about yourself. And you can harmonize that with putting a good CV together. By all means, put a good CV together, but don't lose sight of who you are in the midst of all of that. That's very, very true. So let's talk about you. We've talked about some of your experiences and things you've observed as a talent professional and someone in HR and someone helping people develop themselves. Where do you feel most alive at work? Just based on what you said.
Yeah. I love this question. I love this question because for me, it's all about people, right? It's all about people. So because I've done the work to understand the things that drain me, the things that energize me.
Yeah.
So when I feel most alive at work is when I can see that what I'm doing in the moment is positively impacting somebody. I can see it in the moment. That's when I feel most alive.
You just...
Yeah. So as an employability coach, I'm most alive in my coaching sessions.
Okay.
Yes. Because I can see that my learners in real time, they're getting a better understanding of what they need to do as professionals. And other times is when they come back and they say that, okay, they presented maybe their CV, something to a stakeholder. They received positive feedback. So they now know that, they are better positioned as a professional. That energizes me. Another thing that really energizes me is when they themselves, after a period of time, come into the realization that I'm a better professional now than I was maybe a few weeks back. So when I received
So
this,
they could do like a before and after
exactly
of themselves.
So when we are doing that tracking, or that when we are trying to look back, that looking back, I'm struggling with the word to use here, but when they can look back themselves and then let me know that, yes, I've seen, this is how I came into the coaching session. This is where I am now.
Okay.
I think that I'm a better positioned professional than I came into meeting, before I came to meeting you. That really energizes me. What drains me is the mundane tasks, right? The mundane tasks. So it takes me a long time to, do admin work.
Yeah, it's so
because it
difficult.
has, not very difficult. I know that this has greater impact. I need to, record some of these things, because then how then do I prepare reports? Exactly.
Yeah.
But I would say that this is not something that
you would
energizes.
rather not do it. But you understand
if I
the
could
value.
outsource everything about admin work,
You do that any day. And the irony is somebody loves
exactly.
the admin and doesn't like what you are talking about.
Yeah, I have a colleague like that. I met him from another country in the same organization.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are opposites.
He loves the admin.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you talked a bit about coaching. Why coaching for you?
It's pretty simple, right? There's so much benefit in coaching. When you don't know something, especially when you know what you don't know, and you come into contact with somebody who can teach you this thing,
and help you to become better at it.
So that's why I love coaching. I didn't always used to be a coach, but sitting on the other side and having all the knowledge and the resources from the other side coming into, now sits at this end of the table to teach people, to show them the way. That is it about coaching for me, and that's why I love coaching now. Yeah.
Okay. I typically view coaching as transportation.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when I think about transportation, there's always a destination in mind.
Exactly.
Nobody sits in a car and say, I feel like driving aimlessly. We always have a place we are going. And once you are able to, like you said, help people move from one place to another, and it can be measured, then you feel alive. Yeah. Okay. So walk me through your journey. How did you, from schooling, life out of school, to do what you are doing now? How has it been like?
Okay. So I did not ever imagine when I was in school that I would be in HR, because I studied management.
Okay.
And IT. Even though I studied some aspects of HR, because I remember we did the basic concepts in HR, I did not ever think exactly. Yes. I did not ever think that I would switch completely into HR. I was considering more the IT than HR. But what happened? After school, I got my first job as an admin manager for a small business.
Okay.
And on the upside, on the operations side of the business, when I went in and understood how the business runs and all of that, and came fully into the role, on the operation side of things were going very well. But when it came to managing the people
who did the work, there were issues.
I was struggling because the business owner was not in country. And so I had to give reports, and I was really struggling with managing people, understanding why they would not show up at work on time, knowing that there are serious consequences. Exactly. And so I was very frustrated. I remember having conversations with the business owner at the time, told him about my frustrations. I remember reading some books and even going back to my notes on HR in school.
Your basic HR
yes,
notes.
actually. But it still wasn't coming together because it was more theoretical, right? I did not have
didn't
anybody
have the
lead
practical.
exactly the practical knowledge, anybody to actually lead me into what managing people is all about. So after a year, I resigned.
From the role.
Yes, I resigned because I felt like, no, I was doing my the people and myself a disservice.
But were the people consciously going out to frustrate you, or they were just being themselves?
They were just being
Okay.
themselves.
And you were also being yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because I like to do things well. And I felt like at that point, I needed more that wasn't available. So I resigned and then took on an internship, HR internship. And that was a really good turning point for me.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I went in, I went through training that I could now see the practicality
of what was going on.
Exactly.
So if you had gone back there, you would do things very differently.
Exactly. So after training, then I was thrown into going into businesses because this was a consulting company. So go into the businesses and actually
see what's happening.
Exactly. And apply
Some
the things that exactly. So from there, working on putting HR systems in place, being exposed now to recruitment, all the things that I learned about now, were coming alive to me. It was no longer on paper, it was coming alive to me. How to put together a job advert. All of those things were just coming alive to me. And then even at that point, I did not think that I so much loved recruitment because I was doing generalist HR.
Okay.
Then it was when I moved into another organization that I started doing doing some aspects of recruitment. Then that was when I stopped to say that, okay, this is something I really love to do.
You want to do.
And then I started paying more attention to talent acquisition, recruitment, and then all the things that I could see candidates coming to the room with that would make us disqualify them. And those times I could even on the side call some candidates and let them know that you need to do this right. You need to do that right.
Could cost you
exactly. And I would even tell some of them that the reason why you have not been selected is because of this, because of that. You need to do this right going forward. Exactly. So that was where it started for me. So it's been very easy for me to now come to this other side of the table now and actually work with candidates.
And prepare them.
And prepare them for.
But it all started with chaos.
Exactly.
Chaos in your role and not being able to work with people.
Very frustrating.
I think you made a bold decision to go and intern and learn. Most people would have just and walk away from ever trying.
Yeah.
But you felt no, that there's something here I need to unravel.
Yeah.
Okay. You've talked about assessments people can take and how it helps them know who they are professionally and personally. My question on that is what should be the premise of taking an assessment outside of knowing myself? The assessment often comes with a lot of feedback. I feel the struggle people have is, okay, I have the information, then what? What do I do? How do I start to really implement the insights that the assessments is good? So people, I know people who, when is it Myers-Briggs?
Yeah.
Can still quote
exactly.
But if you ask them, okay, you've quoted your INTG, what do you do with that information? So because you've mentioned helping people identify things they can do or stop doing to get ahead or to get a job or to excel in their role, what should people do with how can they practically apply the insights from an assessment?
Okay. So this is how I'm going to say this from my perspective, how I have used the insights from this assessment tools. And alluding to the Myers-Briggs one, this is how I've used it, right? Understanding my personality, all the dimensions, right? in work situations, I'm an INFJ.
I don't remember.
So, because I feel deeply when I'm in a work situation that is really getting to me, I remember that you feel deeply.
This is who you are.
You need to take a breather. You're taking this in too much. This situation that's happening, you're taking
you
it
rein
too
yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I rein myself. In a situation where I need to make a judgment call, because there's judging in my personality,
Yeah.
I pause. Am I judging too harshly this situation? Am I being objective about what is happening here? Because I'm intuitive. Am I just applying my intuition without,
Without
bringing some
thought, yeah.
objectivity
So it.
into this situation? Or do I think that, I spot patterns easily, so there's another pattern?
So this must
Exactly.
be it. Okay.
So I can make the right call. So this is how I use the insights I get from my assessments in work situations. I won't say that I get it 100% all the time, but as soon as I catch myself that you're going this way, I put myself in check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that the important thing I've picked from what you've said is get the information that
Exactly.
the assessment is giving you, but observe how it plays out.
Yeah.
And as you observe it, double check to be sure that you're making the right decision. Okay. All right. So speaking of assessments, we talked about the Employment Flair productivity tool, and you were gracious enough to try it out, and you came back to share your experiences about it. And I think what stood out has actually shone through everything you said. The potential of people, and then the perspective that you bring. And when we married it together, you were described as a wise, contemplative guide who provides profound insights, preferring depth over quick solutions. That was the summary from what your results shared. So tell us about how the Employment Flair productivity tool was for you, and the feedback that you shared, and then we can pick up from there.
Okay, so when I was taking the assessment, the questions, I try to be objective, right? So with each question, I would try to think of a scenario or two that applied to the question. And when the results came, I was quite surprised, especially about my exasperations, as I was sharing with you. My proficiencies, I was like, okay, yeah, that checks. That checks. My strengths, okay, that checks. When it came to my exasperations, what shocked me the most was that I did not ever think that, okay, having taken assessments, knowing myself and all of that, I did not think about my exasperations within the context of how this shows up in the way I work with people.
Okay.
My colleagues at work, not my mentees, my colleagues at work.
Exactly.
Because I'm not somebody that if I understand your situation, then if I understand your situation, I give you a long rope. I would not push you too much, because I keep understanding you until
and trying to relate to the person based on
until I feel like, no, at this point, then you need to move. Then I can push you. And so I did not think that was showing up as me not being somebody that energizes. I felt like I was, understanding people, giving them the room to be themselves, being empathetic once I understand your situation. So that was what really shocked me, that this was showing up.
Yeah.
Then the other thing was about creation. And that's what I was sharing with you, right? So for me, when I started going into organizations to help them audit their HR systems and work with the systems that they have or they had, we always went in the angle of what are the systems in place, what is working, what is not working. If it's not broken, don't fix it until it needs fixing.
So if we look at what's working and what's not working, and the system is not broken, you don't fix it.
Don't
you just
fix it.
Leave
Yes,
it as is.
because it could come in very important in the future as things are changing. So I did not think that it was showing up in the way I relate with things at work as somebody that right off the bat, I want to create things. I would rather audit the system that is in place. If something is working, okay, let's see how that can work better.
Yeah.
Not create a new thing. When something absolutely needs creating, yes, then we create it. Off the bat, I would not say, exactly.
Okay.
So I was very surprised to see this in my results. I did not ever think that it was showing up
as
in
as an
exactly
exasperation in that
exactly.
regard. Interesting. And I remember your words. You were like, you took a long pause to really
to reflect.
And I'm sure you were processing your work journey.
Exactly. This was what I was reflecting on.
So how would you say you've maybe started being more intentional post the results?
So post the results, and it's been just a few weeks.
Yeah.
And post the results, I've mostly been wondering.
Okay.
I've mostly been wondering, okay, how do my colleagues really perceive me? How can I reach across this bridge now so that I am seen as somebody who creates, not somebody who shies away from creating, somebody who energizes people, not somebody that shies away from energizing people. And I've had it in mind, and I have a few people that I want to have a conversation with
on these
areas. So that they can tell me if there are any blind spots
in that regard.
Exactly.
Okay.
So with that, and also share this result with them, and then get their feedback on how I can reach across this divide for me. So I would not say that so far I have actively done anything about
it's
I have a plan.
Thoughts.
Exactly. I have a plan for how to
I think one of our
it.
biggest goals with the productivity tool is to just give people language for the things they feel that they can't explain. So just as you said, it's just giving you language. You can think about it. If you went to someone, you would know specifically what to tell the person to look out for or to give you feedback on. And that helps. But imagine going to somebody and just talking about feelings and there's no real...
you probably say that, what do you think about how I work?
It's too broad. The person may not be able to give you anything to work with. So for those of you who are wondering what the Employability Flair productivity tool is, it's an assessment tool that really helps you understand how you are wired for work. We are going to display the website on your screen. It's flair.employmentleadership.org. You can take 10 minutes of your busy schedule and just get insights into your profile. Just understand how you are wired for work and how it's showing up in your workplace. And we'll tell you more about it in a minute. But I want to move on to what you sent to me after taking the assessment. You said, Michael, I think every professional needs to take the Employability Flair productivity tool assessment. And for someone who is into talent, helping people as you currently do, and with a lot of experience recruiting and working in the HR industry, what made you say that, and why were you so emphatic about it based on what you saw from the report?
Yeah. So I would say that when it comes to assessments that you can take as a professional to understand yourself and how you work and all of that. To the best of my knowledge, I know that most professionals have access to these tools when their employers invest in tools like this, or they listen to maybe a webinar or a career talk show, and then they are given some examples of maybe some free tools they can take online,
they can apply,
so that they understand themselves and probably how they work. So now this is a tool that you as the professional, you do not need to rely on your employer to invest in it. And this is a very affordable tool. You can take this assessment to understand yourself as a professional. The things that energize you in the workplace, the things that you're proficient at, the things that exasperate you. You are investing in it yourself, and then once you get the results, you can know there are resources or even support with how to navigate your results, apply them at work, and all of that. That's why I think that all professionals need to take this assessment, so that you can understand for yourself. You do not need to rely on or give the excuse that my employer has not invested in any tool like this.
Exactly. And don't take that from me. Take that from the pro who has just shared her thoughts. So we just want to encourage as many of our listeners, if you haven't taken the Employability Flair productivity test, just use the link that's displayed on your on the screen right now. Take the assessment, and in 10 minutes, have a profile. But it doesn't stop there. There's a comprehensive report that can give you in-depth information, and that will go a long way to help you. And just like Delight has shared, you begin to start seeing how this plays out in your day-to-day, and you can make more informed decisions because you're operating from a place of awareness. And then you can begin to see how it impacts you. So that's the value that we are giving you through the Flair productivity tool. So Delight, as we wrap up our conversation, I just want to give you what we call a few moments to just share your thoughts generally based on the conversation we've had. And if there's anything you want to say to our listeners, now is the time for you to do so.
All right. So I would say that every professional, if you really want to do your best work, you want to show up the right way, you want to impact your team and your organization at large, you should take this assessment, the Employability Flair assessment, because the results are real, they're on point. And as I paused, I'm sure that you're also going to pause to deeply reflect on the result that you're going to get from this assessment. And the results are going to help you push on to be a better professional. I can guarantee you that. And just outside of taking the assessment itself, the support, in case you do not know how to use the results from assessments you've taken in the past to work on yourself. There's support here for you so that you know how to practicalize the results that this tool give you. So I would say that invest in this tool. It's just a very small amount. Invest in it, and you will find out that as time goes by, you're a much better professional than you were before.
Thank you so much, Delight. And remember that as you become self-aware, you can help those around you also become self-aware. So much as we are talking about you, we are mindful that you work in a team.
Yeah.
And if everybody on your team became as self-aware as you are, you can imagine the value that is going to come to everybody, and the success that the team can go on and achieve together. So this is your opportunity to discover your work profile. Visit flair.employmentleadership.org. And on that note, I want to thank you, Delight, for joining us and for sharing your experiences with us. And to our audience, I say thank you for tuning in. Go bring your energy, your competence, and your originality to the work you do. And we'll see you in the next episode.